Oh no, guys. Oh no, our first topic of the day. My God, do I hate talking about this stuff. Okay, I don't hate it, but I do wish I didn't have to talk about it as much. Let's talk a little bit about Sutter Health Park, aka the home of the Athletics. So it's come to my attention recently that there has been a lot of articles written over the season about how not ideal the conditions are when playing at the AAA park that is Sutter Health Field, that is in Sacramento. Bunch of different reasons, bunch of different things have happened. Most recently, an injury that we will talk about in just a moment. But very predictably, players and honestly a lot of fans aren't the most pumped about this place and going to see a park. It's really hot there. Some fans have complained about the heat being pretty overwhelming and there needing to be more opportunities to find some shade in between the games. That's all normal baseball stuff. It's summer. It's going to get hot. But the players also not really enjoying some of the sacrifices they're having to make at a high level. So first situation here, first example of a player not being super pumped about the facilities and just generally, not maybe even the facilities, just general vibe and having to pitch there at Sutter Health is Luis Severino. On May 10th, there was an article released where A's pitcher admitted Stadium Sacramento is just not a big league park. Here's the quote from Luis Severino, which, if you remember, is the highest free agent contract ever given out to the A's. He had his concerns going in. He mentioned in April that he was hoping that this wasn't going to be the 3-year length of time. I mean, I would say it's more likely that it's longer than 3 weeks, 3 years, rather. But it's not going to change anytime soon. But here's a quote he said in that May 10th article. It says, "This is just not a big league park. It blows out a lot to left field, and you really need to pay attention as a pitcher to which way the wind is blowing. Because if you're not and trying to attack hitters accordingly, you could really get yourself into a tremendous amount of trouble out there." So not super pumped about the conditions for pitching, which is understandable. It's a park that's usually in the PCL, which is the AAA league. The PCL is notorious for having much higher ERAs and astronomical home run allowed metrics, simply because on the West Coast there's Albuquerque, there's Salt Lake, there's Sacramento. There's a lot of cities that are located in like high desert areas. High desert areas basically have similar park factors to like Colorado. Not quite at that level because you're not mile high, but like you are high in elevation and the air's thinner and the ball goes farther in general. So it's known for that. It's known for like a 4.5 being really good. If you have a 5+ or something, you might still get to the big leagues. So all of that was to be expected, but Luis Severino has definitely noticed a difference as his ERA is approaching a 7 at home and a sub-1 on the road this year. Not ideal. But then 2 weeks later, we had a Zach Wheeler, the highest paid pitcher on the planet currently, also making some comments after a good outing against the A's, though he still seemed kind of unhappy throughout that appearance. That is not Zach Wheeler. We'll talk about that in a moment. Zach Wheeler, the mound was terrible, so that was really it. Wheeler said after a 4-3 Phillies win after the win over the Athletics, "Honestly, I felt great today, and that's why I was frustrated, because I felt great and the mound was bad." It came after an outing where he was really struggling to hit his spots, but was still able to continue his scoreless streak, which then, I believe, got broken his next start out against the Braves. But he was visibly frustrated out there and wasn't enjoying the hardness of the mound, which brings us to the last one, which you see up here. Recently, Pablo Lopez came up with a shoulder injury after pitching against the A's in Sacramento. Pablo is a pretty soft-spoken guy, and he's never one to make any excuses. So Joe Ryan came out and told it like it is for him. He said, "The first thing I thought of was Wheeler saying, it was all arm when I was here. Does that play into that? Someone was mentioning it. We're all in the big leagues, and we have these amenities for a reason. It is to get us prepared and go inside if you need to for a second, whatever your routine is. You can't do that here. You can't do that in Tampa. A's, as Lopez's teammates, makes it sting a little bit more. I think Pablo is the kind of guy that's going to say the mound was, that isn't going to say the mound was the issue, but I'll say it. What he's trying to say here is if the mound's hard and you're out here and you're struggling to use your lower body, you're going to start recruiting muscles that you weren't recruiting before. This is very common in pitching. This is very common in every sport, but especially in baseball because of all the rotational stuff involved, right? Today's episode of the Mayday Podcast is brought to you by Huel. Huel is a delicious protein shake for those people that are on the go. Just add water and move forward with your life. Try Huel with 15% off for new customers today using code FOUL at Huel.com/foul. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. Nailed it. Because of the constant repetition of movement, most of which is in one direction, you create this like chain that you're using over and over again. When one part of that chain breaks down, the rest of your body starts to figure out ways in order to bypass it and still maintain that level of force, of power. That is one of the most amazing things about the human body is our ability to auto self-correct we don't even have to do it mentally. Think about it this way. When you are flying like on a commercial flight on a plane, a long one, say you're flying, across the ocean, you're going to Europe, or just across the United States, 6-hour flight. And when you get off that flight, you feel a little bit sore or like just a little fatigued. Like you're like, why am I so tired? I just sat there the whole time. When a plane is moving through the air, same as a car, like if you're riding on the bus, your body is naturally compensating for that movement, stuff that you don't even notice. So you're constantly trying to balance yourself. All those micro movements, they build up over time and you cause yourself to get a little bit sore. And especially if you don't, work out a lot, right? So it's the same thing, just at a very high level. And that is what Joe Ryan's saying. And he's not happy with the mound because if you can't count on a standard of play through the league, you can't do the things you need to do in order to be successful every day, which everyone is so focused on. So if you go out there and you suck in one place because it's just completely different than everywhere else, what are you supposed to do when you play 162 games? There's supposed to be a level of trust that things are going to be the same. So Joe Ryan coming out and saying that was kind of a big deal. And he's right. Pablo Lopez won't say anything, but he is paying the price in this situation. So I was given this question on Discord, which kind of led me to wanting to answer this question. This is from Snowman. Does the MLBPA have any leverage to force improvements to Sutter Health Park before the 3 years are up? Not really. Not really, because it's one of those things that is built into the CBA in a good faith way. Meaning, if you have to make an adjustment to the park at play, right? It has to be done. You have to be agreed on by both parties, and then the team has to make a good faith effort to get it up to standard within what is possible. Unfortunately, when it comes to Sutter Home, there isn't a lot you can do. Now, the A's invested, John Fisher invested $11 million into over the offseason in improvements. Just for context, that is absolutely nothing. The problem here is space, right? So I'm about to show you what this looks like in the park itself. Okay, let's see if we get up there. There we go. This is where the dugout, or not the dugouts. This is where the clubhouses are. This is where the batting cages are. This is where the training rooms are. Everything, right? It's all in left center. The only way to get from here to the dugouts is across the field. There is no path behind the wall over here. You'd have to go through the stands. So for relievers that are getting ready for the game, they got to come across the field. If a pinch hitter needs to go take some swings or warm their body up, they have to run to center field to do it and then get walkie-talkied back across the field if they want to hit. It's just something you can't do. So you got to figure out a way to do it in the dugout. That stinks. All right. So First of all, that whole situation is not great. But, it is one of the only places in the major leagues where you have to cross the field. So that's a very minor league thing. I think that's unavoidable. The problem is this building couldn't be made any bigger. This is as big as it was when it was only a AAA park. When it's only a AAA park, that I went through there in 2023. It is tiny. Just me being an extra guy, big league rehab, I was like jammed in between two guys. It's so close. You're so close together that if one guy showers and is getting ready for the game, you got to wait. You got to stagger yourself or you will be touching your bodies together, which also is not ideal. So space is really important for you being able to do what you're going to do. That has nothing to do with the field itself either. Like we haven't even talked about the field yet. Only these buildings, which can't be expanded. So it's already not set up to even have an amount of money that can upgrade this thing enough to make it big league ready. It was only going to go so far, okay? There's also on the field stuff that's happening. Recently we had J.P. Sears get frustrated after a tough inning. He went and sat in the dugout, and in the dugout there's this little like lip right in the corner of the top of the dugout. And when you sit on the top, your head is like right up against it. So he banged his head against it. You could tell he just wanted like rip. I don't know if it's a pad. There is a pad over it, but I just think it's like ventilation or something that's just been kind of MacGyvered in there. And he just wanted to rip it. He was so mad. And I've been there where I had a tough outing. I'm trying to go down into the dugout or something, and like I can't see the lip, and I hit my head, and then I just freak out. So you see him getting frustrated about that. That's a little thing, but I think that's just him looking around like, this is stupid too. Mark Kotze has mentioned that he can't see the left field corner from the dugout, from the home dugout. Meaning there was a hit by Brent Rooker into the corner recently. It bounced up, it hit the foul pole. They called it a live ball where the guy running home got thrown out at home, and they didn't know if they could challenge it or not because he couldn't see it with his hand, with his eyes, and so he didn't get to challenge the call. It should have been a ground rule double. I believe it was Rooker and Soderstrom should have been on second and third instead of Soderstrom getting thrown out at home. But of course, they didn't do that. And he's like, I just can't see into the corner from where I'm at, which made this impossible. There's no big league park where you can't see into the corner from their dugout. There are none. So that was another thing he had to worry about. These all seem like little things, but they add up. They add up. So we have the mound's too hard. Wheeler and Joe Ryan said that. If the mound's too hard, you're going to compensate, you're going to get yourself hurt. We can't have players getting hurt. If getting hurt is part of the process, that is horrible. And the facilities aren't enough. There's not enough space. And guys don't have what they need in order to play at a big league level in comparison to the other 29 places they are. And so we see the A's are horrible at home. They're pretty good on the road. They are terrible at home. Every other team that comes in also struggles. So the quality of baseball has been dropped because everyone has to deal with the same things, which is frustrating. Now, I wanted to give this some time. I wanted to see how it played out because there was a chance that, everyone would get mad about it when it was announced and then just move on. Unfortunately, it seems to be every 2 weeks we get someone coming out saying this place sucks. So let me finish by saying this. Is there anything you could do in the season? No. There's very little they can do in the season without building additional stuff back here. Do you see space? I don't see space, right? There's nothing you can do to improve this situation in season. Hopefully in the off season, they take some of this feedback and they try to do some additional stuff, maybe add a second story. That could go a long way. Who knows? Who knows? But I will say this. I commend the A's players for keeping a level head and saying things like, this is outside of our ability to do anything about it, so we are not going to worry about it. We're just going to do our best with what we have. But I do also appreciate when they do mention that things are tough for certain reasons, but they say, but we accept it is the way it is, and I guess we'll just do our best. And that is a big, big tip of the cap to Mark Kotze and the rest of the players, many of which I played with. They didn't have to They could be complaining, they could be throwing up their hands and getting frustrated about it, but they know there's nothing to do about it. And I commend them. And I know that if I was still on their team, that I would be so annoying. So good job, A's. Keep trucking along, I believe, because that lineup's pretty good and they deserve better.